assistant director just wants to do anything to annoy the director. So I'm immediately knocked back, so I'm not happy. I showed you the little books, OCD, we've got every concert, every song, and there's a gap of 2 months. I just went, I'm not playing. But you can't go out and play guitar. You know what I mean? You won't go out to the radio. What you're going to do, put me in jail. You know, and this is building up. The press hasn't forgot about us, and we've got to go out and do this concert. You know, it's the awards thing, you know, and I'm not doing that. But you'll miss out on the telly. So what? You know what I mean? I don't care. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? Put me in jail? You know what I mean? It's not. There's nothing you can do. And all of a sudden, and I never realised what it actually entailed until last year, because I had all this paperwork. Shaun's seen it. It's actually on the website, and I didn't go and look at this stuff. We were looking for photographs last year, and I found all this paperwork, gave it to the social workers and the guards, and it was them that pointed it out to me. I didn't go looking for this, because I just get out of jail and never look back. They bribed me, and Shaun's seen it. I've got, at this point, 2 grave sanctions against my name, which is the worst you can get before, you know, you've got to go to a judge and get resentenced. So that's not for, you know, nothing. And I've got awarded, you don't get a day off your sentence until you're condemned. Shaun's seen the paperwork. I've got every day that I've served awarded as though I was working in the blinking kitchen or the doctor or something. I've got 2 years taken off my sentence instantly.
Alan, how did you earn the sanctions?
You don't want to, you don't want to lose some ratings and things like that.
Well, these are the things people want to hear.
Well, there was a couple of people did things that we weren't happy with, and although they couldn't prove it, they had reasonable grounds. You know, I said that one thing that you've got the kid there. I'm digressing a bit, but to give it a bit of context. When I went into jail, I was like, you know, really sensitive in the, you know, the artistic one, not. And see, when I came out, people could die in front of me. I didn't want them to die, but it wouldn't affect me. You know, I just walk through life and not good, not bad, just numb. And my best friend, I won't embarrass her by saying who, and my nephew saved me from that, because I could have feelings for them again, and it took gradual, because I just couldn't. Because I remember a French, Swiss French guy, it was a captain, he'd been in his yacht and got caught, and he'd been in for years. And I'm about to help this guy. I didn't know what was wrong with him. I've never seen MD that had taken Brown. And he's lying there and I'm going to help him. And this guy's like that, dragging me away. Don't you be so stupid. You know, like, 1, you might catch something. 2, he might turn around and hit you, you know, and he wouldn't do it for you. He says, you can't afford to feel anything for other people. And it's very hard to sort of switch off, but I could have had opportunities to let my mum and dad and that know, but I seen the effect it had on people when they got a letter late. You know, nobody did anything bad to them, but it's just their whole life is, I mean, and the smallest thing means so much to you. It can hurt you so much. You know, you don't get a phone call, or you get, your money runs out on the phone just as your girlfriend's about to say something, and everything's blown out. So it was easy for me just to switch off. However, you're still human. And there was a couple of incidents where people were doing things to other people that we took offence to that.
You're talking about physical things?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Young kid that's never, he's in there for, you know, God knows what, but you know what I mean? And you've got a group of gypsies that are picking on him. And, you know, they've all got their stupid knives and all that. And, well, they picked the wrong place to do it, because while I was doing the music and that, Joel and Hi, my mate, they got into their weights and all that. And we started off, it was hilarious. We got like the broom handles and big tins of fruit. And there was always construction work going on. We filled it with concrete. The problem was they lifted it at once and the thing broke. Broke in half, you know, the things. And they kept asking for it and asking for it. and obviously they're trying to find reasons to redeem people. And they actually gave them weights and all that, right? But those weights were like, you know, there was a gym class, and the only place that they could do it safely was the shower, because it had the tiled floor and all that. And a couple of boxes, no bench press thing. It was 2 foot boxes with a plank over it. And I'd started going, I did a bit of the weights, but the music was coming in, and so I was getting off to go there and stuff like that. But they would be doing that, and you had to get a letter off the director, you know, please, your honourable director, can I join the weight workshop? And if they weren't in that and they caught in there, so nobody bothered them. But it happened to be one of the days that they're just fingering up practicing, and they were no doing nice things to like a young lad or whatever. And those sort of like the dumbbells and things like that, you know, the handles are quite, you know, and the weights and things like that. So there was quite a few gypsies ended up in the hospital. And they knew that there was only the 3 of us there and the wee guy, and it wasn't him. He actually was quite grim. He said he did it, you know, but it was like, you know, that was one of the things. And there was other things, you know, there was, again, never proven, but, you know, they make their own rules. Look, the amount of stuff that was going through that prison was surreal. And they couldn't put, it was just, you know, conduct unbecoming and, you know, conspiracy, you know, perverting the things, you know what I mean? I told you the thing I'd completely forgotten about till somebody was looking at some of my notes and all that, and I told you I didn't think it, I thought it was a sort of common occurrence, because it comes across a lot bigger than what it is, but then again, I suppose it is quite big. Oh, where did you get that money from? I was bodyguard to one of the Cali Cartel accountants. And it's like, what? And I'm like, well, I wasn't like going out shooting people bodyguarding. Well, what were you doing then? Oh, yeah, well, I kind of was bodyguarding because they had the problem in the Medellin, and Medellin were sorted in Madrid. You know, they were all the big boys, but down in Murcia, there's only a couple of guys. The guys I was saying to you that did the thing, they were down there for making toilet seats out of cocaine and selling them to the Spanish Parliament. There's a few guys down there, and what had happened is one of the Cali Cartel, nobody knew about cartels and that, you know, kids of 15 know who Carlos Escobar is. You could ask a Spanish copper and he wouldn't know who he was in the 80s, because they were in the States and there was no MTV and YouTube and whatever. But little guy was down, and being in the nephew, the Marseille Mafia and all that, was pretty well connected. Now, I spent ages trying to get a cell on my own, because, you know, you could get anybody in the cell. And sometimes you just accept somebody in your cell because at least you know who he was. Otherwise, they just put the next person coming in, you know. But again, I've just got to push it. I've like, oh, the paperwork is sitting there. I've got a cell on my own. It's taken me months to get it, but it's a reasonable one. They can handle it. I've got to go up to the cell and compose the music because it's taken off. I went, that's not the worst thing you've asked for, you know what I mean? We'll go for that. Within about a week of it, I have got this old Colombian guy in. You've just asked for all that. And Joel couldn't get the choice of cells. You know, he had somebody in with his, and this guy was coming down. Will you put him in your cell? He's sorted, you know what I mean? You've got to look after this guy. I've never ate so well in my life till now. You know what I mean? It was unbelievable. This guy was so high up, you know what I mean? He had, like, even the guys, the sort of administrative guys that didn't like us for the music, he's old school. But old school was into all the bribing and all that, you know what I mean? So this guy is getting, God knows what he's getting. He's coming in with platters of ham, fruit, occasionally like a bottle of wine and stuff like that. But not, you know what I mean? But I'm talking about everybody is in our thing. Even got a little, it was, they were using it in the kitchen, but somehow it ended up in our cells. It's a thing for the fondue or something like that. There's something that they have a naked flame, just like a wee camping gas thing. You know, you couldn't ask for a camping gas stove, but somehow it ended up in our cell and you could heat little things, you know what I mean? And we've got all like, you know, it's like salmon coming, all that Spanish ham that I can't stand, but it's really, really expensive. You know, patisseries and all that. And it's like, there's people coming for cells all around the other galley. The guards are coming in eating its cheeses and all that. It's like, bloody hell, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, it was quite a good time, you know what I mean? We ate all right. And like, then he got his trial and went away. But it was like, saying about that, I'd forgotten all about that. And it was just somebody was saying to me, why are we down in Liverpool? It's when you get out of the jail, you went down to Essex and that to meet a few people. And I went, that's right. Why are we down in Liverpool about a year or so later? And I'm like, I can't remember. And it was when I was doing stuff with the director and he was wanting to know the dates of a couple of things. I found this thing. You have seen it yourself. It's the details of a bank transfer into the National Savings Bank from a bank account in Spain for £17,000, which probably is about 100 grand or something now. That was like 90s. For services rendered. And I had to get a passport. I had to apply for a passport. They were like, why do you want a passport? You've just been deported. You can't go anywhere. And it wasn't like now you could have said I wanted to vote, you know, it's my voter thing or something. No, I was like, you're not going anywhere. I just want a passport. That's it. You know what I mean? All right. And they took as long to get it and went along and got that one.
So on the subject of the cartel, then I wrote a book called The Cali Cartel. Gilberto was, you know, one of the bosses. And he got nailed in Spain, didn't he, with Jorge Ochoa from the Medellin guys. It was like really big, high-profile arrests. Were they incarcerated around the time you were incarcerated?
Yes. What happened was this all took place, the music thing took place in Murcia, which was... It wasn't nice, but like then what happened was when it all became... We were in the news everywhere and all that, and they were getting fed up with us. Unbeknown to MD, somebody's done that sort of behind the scenes things. And I'm thinking that I'm going out to the open prison. And I found myself in a place called Carabanchel. Now, I mentioned it to the likes of Chet Santo, who has done time in Spain, and Chet went, oh my God, you know, and he's only heard of it years later. Well, I was there. And that was before Amnesty International got in, seen it. Then Amnesty International, they reformed it, and then they come in again so many years later. So you can imagine what it was like before that. It was not nice.
What was the toilets like?
What do you mean toilets?
How did you do a number one and a number two?
A hole in the ground.
A hole in the ground.
Aye.
And was that like the hole in your cell, or was that somewhere else?
No, it's just like a wall, like a wooden plank, and there's a hole in the plank.
Yeah.
And that just gets, supposedly gets sluiced, but that's not a very pleasant place to go.
And did they give you anything to wipe your ass with?
No.
What's the...
Water is supposed to, like the Moroccan way.
Yeah.
In Murcia, they had, like some of the cells had toilets.
Yeah.
But in Carabanchel, no. Carabanchel was built in 1930-something, and it was built by the political prisoners when Franco took over. And there's seemingly the ghosts of thousands because they built the prison, and you can imagine the conditions were worse when they were building it. And that was MD. It started off as dissidents, you know, political activists, trade unions. Then it got to if you complained about the train being late, you know, you'd end up, you know what I mean? But that place in the 80s was only Category 1. But it was in the thousands of people there. You know, that was the bogeyman. You could be the baddest guy, you know, in Malaga, and there's 20 guys Cat A. That whole prison is Cat A.
Is that where they put the cartel bosses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carabanchel was considered, if you Google it, you've got a laptop, Google it, Carabanchel prison, it was considered the most dangerous prison in Europe at that time. People died on a daily basis. I was looking at, there's a programme on just now about Barlini in Glasgow, and I was looking at the floors and 3 floors up, and there was security things. People just get lamped over. You just hear a thud and you go, oh no, again. You know what I mean? That's that. You know, bodies. It lie there for ages, and somebody eventually go on and clean that up.
What were you at?
It'd be just like people getting thrown off, you know. Like,
how often did that happen?
Daily. I mean, and there was no...
I mean, like, all right, You're seeing someone die in the background. Like,
People just like, I'm lucky did he knock the chess pieces over? It's your move.
doesn't that take some getting used to?
That's what I'm saying. You become numb to that.
So, describe the first time this happened. You saw someone die in prison.
Would have been someone dying for an overdose, probably, in Murcia. And in Murcia was a lot more peaceful. That's in the hundreds of prisoners, on an open bit. So that builds you. Murcia in itself would be the worst prison in the UK. You know what I mean? That would scare the bejesus out of anybody that's ever done time. And that was an easy one. Because then Carabanchel is just like, that is just off the charts. That's like, the guys, I'm not saying this, there's guys that you've met who write books and they've said, name the worst prison, and they've done like Spanish, they've done French, they've done, and they're like, Carabanchel, you know what I mean?
The person who overdosed, how did you encounter that situation?
I've seen people overdosing all the time.
Just the first one though?
The first one, that's what I'm saying, I was with the French guy and there's a guy dying in front of me.
He's dying in front of you?
Yeah, and I'm wanting to go and help him, and Jean-Claude or Jean something is like, leave him.
Oh, that guy died, did he?
Yeah, don't get involved. And I'm like, this is like weeks into it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that was the first one?
Yeah, but then people, age and hepatitis and that were, rife. There's bodies all around the place. But there was bodies of non-natural causes as well, and, not so much in Murcia because there wasn't enough people. It wasn't as bad. But there was sanctioned, you would almost call it, murders. Because the guards, and this is not making things up, there's plenty of other people would, that would be able to back that up, that somebody say that's done somebody really bad, children or something like that, is put in there. The guards would put them in with like some sort of West or something like that, that's a mass murderer or something like that, like Fred West or something like that, and they'd have bets how long they would last. And you hear the screams and that, and they weren't moving, and you're like, but hey, shouldn't do what they've done.
What was the death that shocked you the most?
None of them. After seeing that, that's what I said, that's what I became. I didn't like the person because I didn't feel anything, but I wasn't the only one. I'm not saying like, no, you just get used to that. You see that, it's like, I'm not putting human life, devaluing human life, but you see like an ant dying, or maybe you're into pets and you see a pet dying and it really upsets you, and then you go to somewhere where you see that all the time. You become immune to it. You don't get upset every day you see something happening. If you worked in a slaughterhouse and you like chickens or something like that, well, don't go for work for Colonel Sanders or whatever, but you will become immune. It's not saying that you don't care, but you don't get the same. So when these things are happening all the time, whether you like it or not, it's a safety mechanism. Because, and also, if you were to, you wouldn't be here, well, I wouldn't be here if you went and being a good Samaritan to everybody. Because you wouldn't get past a couple of days. It's not a nice thing to say, and it took me, like, you've got Ziggy, brings out your good nature and you can be compassionate and all that. But at that point, people go, no, it is, you talk about life and death. You don't know what life and death means. You know what I mean? That is life and death. You know what I mean? When somebody in a split second can take your life, whether you like it or not. You know what I mean?
All right, so, you get immune to it because there's so much of it. But there must have been some, perhaps through violence or something, there was some situations that particularly stand out in your mind.
Oh, I mean, there's crazy stuff happened, like violence-wise, like, that I've seen. One of the ones I got could have been potentially a really bad one for me was when I got my marching orders up to go to Madrid, and I've just arrived there. Now, there's a guy, Christopher Chance. I'd been telling people for 10 years, and because there was no internet, I was in this place where there was 20 people in a cell, and I thought, shut up. We were in Malaga, and there was 20. We were in Alicante, there wasn't 20. Christopher Chance brought a book out about 2000 or something like that. I've been talking this for 10 years. All of a sudden, it's in print. Oh, in Carabanchel, there was this one place called the Bronx, where if you were really bad or somebody really didn't like you, you get put in there. Now, how would I know about that if I wasn't in there? And I told you, it wasn't being brave or anything. I got moved and I got bussed around like all the different jails in Spain for days, just to annoy me. I'd leave in the morning before breakfast and arrive after dinner. And they were so obliging in some places, they would actually take me my own bus, you know what I mean, just to, just to really annoy me. And the money would be days behind, and it was just because, somebody had got fed up with our antics. And they moved us to Madrid. Now, I'm supposed to be going to the open prison. I'm in Mikay. I'm not even content that I'm in maximum security. They put me in the maximum security where the bad people in maximum security go. And this is some guard or somebody like that, or some governor or that. Well, we'll sort him right out now. But for the grace of God, I wouldn't be here. As I was explaining to you earlier, the cell is just the same as the cells we had in Murcia, not any bigger or smaller or longer, but it's like 4 up or 5 up in the same space. So there's no room you can shoulder width to walk down in between the things, and people hang their sheets down so there's a bit of privacy between the beds. And I've walked in, and it's like all of a sudden all these people are coming towards me, and I'm like, this ain't ending well here. And, I don't know, maybe a guard said, give him, a good kicking and we'll give you an extra, plate of soup or something. Or whether, they thought I had, or it was just like initiation ceremony, but this was the dregs of society. And, whoever's up there looking after me was looking after that day, because I caught a guy coming from peripheral vision. He was kind of behind the door coming in. And I wasn't doing anything special. I just sort of grabbed him like that. Now, I had nightmares about this, and I'm not telling it to sound like some hard guy. This guy is connected with the edge, and it's metal bunk beds, and there's corners like that. That corner is went in there. Now, I don't know what happened to that guy. I had not nightmares, but I was like, I couldn't be a bully because I worry too much about hurting other people. But that guy got a severe clout, and the other guys parted. Now, that was just shock. They would have probably got their group collective consciousness together again and come back for me. But luckily at that point, a few of the English guys had heard. I was supposed to be there waiting for me to arrive there. And where the hell is he? And, he's not here, where is he? And, a guard's come up with him and go, what the hell's he doing? That somebody, put in, I wasn't supposed to be there, but somebody's got it in and put us there. And that was really could have been really bad.
So his face was bashed in, or his eye came?
His whole thing was his pit, basically the corner of a metal bed. Yeah. And it's just, I didn't mean it that. You couldn't do that if you meant it. It's just the way he's just went full force, and his thing, I don't know.
Did his eye come out?
I get pulled away.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm not saying I killed him. I don't think so. But yeah. I just got the English guys just dragged me right away before anything was. But see, in any other prison, you'd be taken to your thing. There wasn't even a report on that.
As calm as you've been around all these people and all these situations, how you've described how calm you've been, during that moment when you go in this place, did that get your adrenaline up?
Aye. Yeah, it got my attention.
And they were all coming at you like something out of a horror movie.
Yeah, but it was because this guy is coming from here.
Yeah.
He's taking the focus, and it's just kind of, if you're all that side, I don't have to watch my back.
Yeah.
And that's all I did. He's smacked off that. He's in between us and them. And at that point, the other guys come in. You know what I mean?
How many of them were coming at you at that point?
All of them.
How many?
It seemed like, there's 20 in it, so there's me, him, so must 18 at that side. well, whether they're all coming, some could be sitting in their beds, but you know, it wasn't.
What do you think would have happened if you hadn't got rescued?
I'd be dead.
Wow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's.
Someone's looking out for you there.
I mean, I told you the one. Did I say the one about my first day? Did I say that earlier about the Moroccan guy, him getting the eye wound? Did we say that on this? Yeah.
The one that you knocked out, the big guy who became your friend.
Aye.
Yeah, we did that one earlier on, didn't we? Yeah, yeah. And you talked about getting stabbed with the rat poo.
Aye, and
I mean, you went over that one quite quickly. Like, where did that go in?
I'll show you. I'm not taking it because I'm not getting it cut in. It's there, and you can still see it.
Could you feel it go in?
I felt I was punched.
Like you were punched.
It was a.
How long did it take you to realise what had happened?
I felt a punch, and that was all. And this isn't the queue. And the other guys obviously seen what's happened. You know, the guys know gypsies don't punch you. You know, they've not got the balls to do it, the cojones to do it. So we say, you know, they do things behind your back. So the other guys have come chasing over. And, I mean, it's not hit anything, obviously. It was just like a bump, you know, and it's like, you know, like that, and go up the stairs, and by then all that stuff's taking place. You know, the guy, poor guy who was with me, he's thinking I'm going to die and he's going to get the blame and all that, you know what I mean? He's battering on the cell door, apparently. I'm out of it, I don't know what's happening.
So the rat poo causes your brain to scramble, does it?
It's like bubonic plague or something like you've just been infected with. It's like a highly, you know, it's bad stuff. Oh. I mean, you can do it with that. The other one as well, the more intelligent people tried to do as well, you can make your own cyanide.
What's the formula?
No formula. One of the things they got a lot of in prison, I told you about the crap fruit and all that. Peaches.
Seeds.
Peaches, the shell. And you get...
wow.
And you do know it's working because you get the almond smell.
Did you see it utilised on people?
Yeah. I didn't see it utilised. I seen people getting carted out afterwards, you know, and you can put two and two together, you know, and somebody's been... But it takes quite a lot of peaches, and you've got to have a lot of patience.
What about the weaponisation of crap? Did you see more of that? Like,
that was used, that was just if somebody really wanted to make sure. You know what I mean? Normally, particularly the gypsies, it's a macho thing. They weren't interested. They just want to show off. It's like, you know, marking you, you know, because they wouldn't have the balls to go in a knife fight, you know, and they come out with the little...
Yeah.
It's the razor and the toothbrush and all that. No, it's like, come on. We were brought up with Stanley.